During the election campaign, my regular Credlin viewers will know, we tracked the lies of activist group GetUp, the lies they tried to present to voters as fact. The far-left group admitted it targeted seats of Conservative MPs, and in the seat of Warringah, for example, it provided the campaign resources for so-called independent Zali Steggall to oust former Prime Minister Tony Abbott. But in the South Australian seat of Boothby, Nicolle Flint, an MP I know many of you got to know because she appeared on a lot of our panels here last year, well, she fought tooth and nail against GetUp, the Labor Party and the unions. Her office was egged, her posters were defaced, she was labelled a prostitute. She was also stalked. But despite all of these efforts and the work of GetUp, the unions and Labor, as I said, to bring her down, Nicolle was re-elected. And she's now speaking out about the abuse she received. Nicolle Flint joins me now live from Adelaide. Nicolle, I know at the time you and I spoke during the campaign, many of these activities were underway. I have to say you were rattled on some occasions, but you're pretty determined not to go public because you wanted to focus on the issues of the campaign messages, the key economic issues of the Prime Minister, and you thought this might be a distraction. Why are you speaking out now?
Well, Peter, like you, and I think your viewers know, as I do, that you suffered a really tough time in your time in politics as well, and you were incredibly stoic and brave and maintained your silence whilst you needed to, as I did during the campaign, but then you spoke out. So that's what I'm doing. First of all, to show women that you can survive these experiences, but also to explain to the Australian public the manner in which GetUp and the unions and Labor have been operating in recent elections, so that I hope we can all work together to make sure this sort of very destructive behaviour stops. But if I'm not going to call it out, then perhaps we won't be able to fix the problem that we have in Australian political life at the moment, where a lot of campaigns are run against people in a very personal way rather than focusing on policy.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right, Nicolle. A lot of what happened to you, the tactics used were targeting you as a female, but that's not why they were targeting. They were targeting you first and foremost because you were an opponent, a worthy opponent. You were a Liberal. You're in a marginal seat, so they are always hotly contested. But in particular, you and 6 others around the country were targeted because you were Conservatives inside the Liberal Party. That's, possibly your crime, your greatest crime in Labor's eyes. Give me some examples of what was thrown at you.
It really was everything, Peter. A couple of colleagues have remarked that they really did throw the kitchen sink at us here in Boothby, but as they did to Peter Dutton, Kevin Andrews, Tony Abbott, Christian Porter and Greg Hunt, it was everything. It was the personal attacks on print material in people's letterboxes, an extensive and extraordinary social media campaign, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not just the comments on my page, but also we've uncovered so much content since the election concluded and we started doing a thorough review of what happened. It was the protesters. That was probably one of the things that was most difficult. We had protests sort of almost weekly outside my electorate office, which was terrible for my staff. I'm the MP, I put my hand up for public life to an extent, but they're there to work for my electorate and to support me and support my local community, and so that was really unfair on them. But it was also protesters at community events, at my Liberal Party campaign launch. They turned up at a social media video I was filming with some state colleagues about a local road upgrade. Somehow they found out where we were and turned up. And it was just extraordinary the lengths they went to track me down and try and disrupt my day-to-day work, which is getting out and about in my local community, talking to as many people and listening to as many people as possible so I can deliver on the issues that are important to my local residents.
Yeah, it was really interesting in the campaign. I was over your way, as you know, before the campaign proper got underway. I went out into your seat. A lot of really good comments about your personal activity, how hard you'd been working in the electorate. even if then they weren't so sure that they could support Scott Morrison or the Liberal government, they said, well, we can't fault her as a local member. And in fact, during the campaign, Nicolle, that was the tone I was getting from Labor HQ. They were saying that they thought you would have been an easy mark. You were proving to have locked yourself in on the ground very well with community groups and locals, and they were finding you were harder to dislodge. Now, I suspect that's why they made it so personal. Labor likes to say that they're good to women, that they're fair to women, that they want to advance women, but this was a really hateful campaign, and a lot of the ammunition that they hit you with was about your gender. That smacks of rank hypocrisy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, we hear the left preaching that, you know, women, we should be supporting more women in politics, that we should be stamping out sexism, that we should be promoting women where possible, and yet some of their most vicious attacks are against Liberal or Conservative women. I know my good friend and colleague Georgina Downer was subject to some appalling behaviour as well. One of her opponents, volunteers, stalked Georgina too. She, like me, had to go to the police for her own personal safety. And Peter, I'm speaking out mainly because I do not want Australian members of parliament, whether they're state or federal or your local councillors, to not be able to get out and talk to their local community. I want everyone to feel safe. This is a workplace safety issue for us. My workplace is out and about at listening posts at my local shops, you know, holding my street corner meetings. It's door knocking. It's being as accessible as I possibly can, and I don't want that to change. That's the beauty of Australian politics, is that you can rock up and chat to your federal, state or local government representative pretty much any day of the week. And if we don't see a change to the behaviour that GetUp and the unions and Labor have been engaging in over the last couple of elections, then people will lose access, the degree of access that they have to their elected representatives, which is really bad for democracy.
Yeah, I'm going to underscore the point that I made at the start, and that you and I had a discussion then in the first couple of questions. You are no victim, Nicolle Flint. You are speaking up now. You did not speak up in the campaign. It wasn't an excuse for you in the campaign. You have won. You have won and you're speaking up. And it's not an excuse that you've lost, and this is the reason why, which I think is extraordinarily brave of you. You make the point in the paper today. You're a single female. You live alone. This sort of intimidatory behaviour is the stock and trade of the unions. And we know with the CFMEU, I had some statistics, very, very serious statistics out of Queensland the other day. The ABCC is saying that every single day in Queensland for the last 2 years there's been charges laid against the CFMEU. I mean, this is the sort of behaviour that they think wins them contests, and sadly it's now become a part of our electoral system. So good on you, Nicolle. Congratulations. And congratulations particularly too for being re-elected as well as the member for Boothby. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks so much, Peter.